Hi, and welcome to SIGG'S on the Springport 8th Grade Center On-Demand Network, where it's all academic all the time. This video is going to be really important and quite lengthy. And the reason it's going to be important and quite lengthy is because we are slowly transitioning this week to having students enter the building once again. So while this video may be quite lengthy, it's going to provide a lot of pertinent information that parents and students need to be aware of. And the reason why we're asking you to watch this in its entirety is because we want to make sure that transition back into the school is as seamless as possible, but most importantly, it's as safe as possible for all students and staff. So that being said, Dr. SIGG'S, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. I'm glad we're having this video. So the first thing we want to talk about, Dr. SIGG'S, let's cut right to the chase.
Yep.
Before they arrive to school, we're talking about daily student supplies. They have to bring some supplies to school. What are we looking for in terms of supplies that the students can bring to school to get ready?
All right. The first and most important thing that all students need to be bringing with them as part of their supplies is their district issued electronic device. Okay. It cannot, and I know that some kids, and some parents said, hey, you know what? We have our own devices at home. We don't need to take away a device from somebody else that may need it in the district, so they didn't go get one. If you bring in your own device into school, it will not work. It will not work within our network here. Okay. So you have to have a school issued electronic device. If you do not have that, you need to make sure that you go ahead and email tech support, and you have to get that taken care of before you come into the building. Okay, that's the first thing. We also want to make sure that students have with them their own pencils, pens, colored pencils, their own calculator if they need that. We're not going to be sharing those in and amongst ourselves like we normally would in the past. So students need to make sure they have those. They have notebooks and so forth, okay? They also need to make sure that they have a face covering. Some people ask the question, does it have to be a mask? Could it be a gaiter? I have a gaiter on, I prefer those. You would like to wear a mask? Either one is fine, but they need to have that with them. Some parents ask, can I bring in some extras and put it in their locker? Great, whatever you want to do, but they need to have that every day. So, before they're packing up to get ready to go to school, district issued electronic device with the charger. They need their charger with them. They need to have all of their, pencils and so forth, and the notebooks, okay, in a bag, and they need to make sure they have a mask. That's what they need to do first.
And again, us teachers, we usually like to allow kids to borrow our supplies if they need to. But again, unfortunately, we can't do that. They've got to bring their own due to COVID to contain the virus.
Very good.
Great.
The next thing they must do every morning before they leave for school is they got to go through a mom and dad. If you could do that with them, I would think that would be awesome. They have that daily COVID checklist. That is really important. So why don't you put that up so that everybody can see it?
I'll share that so everybody can see it. Dr. SIGG'S daily COVID checklist. Would you like me to zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, it's good right there.
Okay.
And what I'm going to say to you is we're going to send this out to you so that you have copies of this as well. Okay. To me, the most important part is you're looking at the middle two. So if kids have symptoms at home, any of those, right, probably a good idea to make sure they stay home. Now, I know that people are excited about getting kids back into school. Okay. But I'm just saying to you, if they're exhibiting any of these, please make sure you just keep them home, please. Okay, we got an opportunity to do this correctly, and we don't need to make poor decisions. If they're not feeling well, please keep them home. Why don't you flip on to the next one, Mr. Parcio?
And when you say that, it's common sense. If the kid has symptoms, and God forbid it's COVID, and you send them in, well, then you could cause a major shutdown of schools. So we don't need to take that step backward if we can prevent it. So we ask that you guys are very supportive with that. What would you like me to show next, Dr. SIGG'S?
Well, I'd like for you to show the flow chart, because what ends up happening is,
the sent home flow chart, correct?
Yes. So
okay.
If a child is sick, has those symptoms, either people aren't checking, or they just decide to send them to school anyways. This is not like the last, however many years where, a student's not feeling well at home and the parent says, oh, go check out the nurse in the morning, right? It's not that time. Okay. No. If a child's sent to school with symptoms, then I'm going to tell you the nurse will evaluate them. And if they, have two of the ones listed there or one of the other ones listed right there, then they're going to be sent home. And they're going to be sent home for a period of 10 days or until they get a COVID test. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is everybody's got to be smart here right now. So if they're not feeling well, we're asking that you please keep them home. And like you said, it's real important that we get everybody's cooperation. Okay, everybody's got to
And so just to clarify, Dr. Siggins, if they come into school with symptoms and then they go to the nurse and the nurse finds this, they have to stay home then for 10 days.
According to
or until they have a negative COVID test, correct?
That is correct.
Wow. Okay.
So you see the flow chart. We've had multiple meetings right now with superintendent and all the people, at the district office, and this is the plan we're following. So, to me, it's one of those things. Just if they're not doing well, keep them home. That just prevents a whole ton of problems that we hopefully are going to try to avoid. Okay.
Better safe than sorry.
Correct.
All right.
The other flow chart that we'll provide to families too, because I think these are important, is let's say you have somebody at home that is sick, right? Somebody in your family, like in my house. I'm a principal at Springford. My wife works in a different school district and my kids go to a completely different one. So you're bringing in 3 different environments into one house. So if somebody in my home gets sick, then here's the steps that we need to follow. I thought this was a really good one for families to use. And so I would just follow it out. I like flow charts. It makes things easier for me to kind of work through a lot of difficult information, but I think these are really good. And that's why we thought we would share them. Okay.
I think the parents should consider maybe printing these out and putting them on the refrigerator or something.
I would. Yeah.
Or a bulletin board.
I would.
Yep. All right. I'm going to hit stop share for a second, Dr. Siggins, and we're going to talk about arrival at school.
That is correct.
Okay.
So basically what will happen is this, we talked about what they do before school. Now what we're going to do is talk about what they're going to be doing on the way to school. And so, what we would envision right now is we are envisioning a lot of parents saying, you know what, I don't want my kid riding a bus right now. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring them to school. The 8th grade center is, it's a 90-plus-year-old building here. So it does not have one of those nice driveways and, that people can drop kids off. The one driveway is used for buses. It's not for parent drop-off. Most places the parents will drop their children off in front of the building, which is on an actual street, Washington Street. So, I get nervous about that. I'm not going to lie to you. And we have a Springford Police Department. And so what we decided to do is kind of work together to increase, the efficiency of the area and also to increase the safety of what's taking place in front of the building. So, Mr. Parsi, if you could go ahead.
Here I go. I got it right here. So we're going to share a photo of the satellite image of the building and where parents can drop their kids off and pick them up.
Right. So I'm going to basically, as you're looking at this picture right now, and if you can put your mouse on certain areas.
Yep.
What I'm going to
tell me where to go, Dr. Siggins.
I'm going to read exactly what our police officers have put together. So all vehicles must enter Washington Street through 6th Street, 6th Avenue. Okay, right there. Either direction, they have to come down 6th Street. Okay. Do not enter Washington Street from Lewis Road. That is going to be for buses only. So Lewis Road, I want you to show them where that is.
It's over here?
Yeah, that's correct. So normally what would happen is people would turn off from Lewis onto Washington. We're not going to do that right now. The only people that can do that will be our buses. And it also says do not enter Washington Street from 7th Street. That would be right down the middle, right towards the front of the door. So we don't want you going in that direction towards the building. You want to drop your students off in front of the 8th grade building, along that whole line right there. All the
where those trees are.
Yep, all the way down to even the softball fields. You can drop them off there. As long as we don't have any traffic, we want to just drop them off along the same side as the building. Parents are asked not to block the teacher parking lot by the auditorium or block the bus driveway. Okay.
Right here is the teacher's parking lot, and right here is the driveway. Yep.
That is correct. Another big thing, because unfortunately we see this from time to time, is sometimes parents will drop their kids off and then they're going to do U-turns on Washington Street. I'm telling you, Like, we cannot
They're
do
going to
that.
cite you.
Well, they're going to be out there, and because there's going to be a lot of cars, and we're trying to move the cars along and do it safely. Like, if you can't be doing U-turns in front of the building. Okay. We also do not want people dropping students off on the side of the street across from the school. We always want them to be dropped off along the same side, okay, of the school building. After you drop your student off or pick your student up at the end of the day, because when you pick them up, it's going to be the same procedure. Access the building through 6th, okay? You can't access the building from 7th or Lewis Road, okay? What you want to make sure that you do is you may turn left onto 7th Street or left onto Lewis or right onto Lewis Avenue once you pick your kid up, okay? So we're trying to get this flow where we're going straight down in front of the building towards Lewis Road, from 6th to Lewis.
Real quick, Dr. SIGG'S, the only entrance to Washington Street would be 6th Avenue all the way down here.
That's
Ultimately,
correct.
that's the entrance for both morning and afternoon, correct?
Yes.
For parents. And the exit out of there is you may go straight out one way down 7th
Yes.
or right or left onto Lewis, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And again, we don't want U-turns. And
No
again,
U-turns.
you need to follow the school speed limit because we don't need parents speeding, hopping in and out. We want kids to be safe, and we want the kids dropped off where their door, or they're going to be dropped off on the sidewalk, either in front of these trees right in front of the building or safely down here by this field. We do not want them, well, you won't be able, we don't want them dropped off across the street. If you're going across the street, you're going the wrong way. It's a one-way street then. All right, good.
And we're going to have many of the Springford police will be out there to try to, that will be assisting and guiding.
Good.
But once again, we're putting this out right now so that people, they just kind of, we finalized this late last week. So we felt pretty good about just trying to make it go a little bit faster and to keep kids safe. That was the main thing.
Absolutely.
All right, so once students can arrive at school, the building will be open around 7:40. Doors will be open. So if you're a parent, you're dropping your child off, they're going to be entering door number 3. And door number 3, it'll be, if you're looking at the front of the building, we'll say gymnasium. It's on the left-hand side right there. That's our auxiliary gym. If I'm a walker, that's the same door I'm going to be going in as well, which is the auxiliary gymnasium, door number 3.
Right where the mouse is.
That is correct. You're going to stay in the auxiliary gym until 7:55. We have staff members that will be in there supervising, spreading kids out. Students that actually ride our buses, they're going to be coming down the bus driveway and they'll be dropped off down by our main gymnasium. And they'll be held in our main gymnasium until 7:55, which at that point, they'll be dismissed to homeroom. When they are dismissed to homeroom, once again, to me, our kids, for the most part, are really well behaved in our classrooms. Wherever there's supervision, our kids, generally speaking, year after year, do a great job.
They do.
Where our kids tend to get themselves in trouble, if they're going to do that, is when they are involved in unstructured time, unsupervised time. So passing in the hallways, those types of situations are where we do things that we don't necessarily need to be doing. So they need to make sure they're social distancing. They're not grabbing people, pushing people, jumping on people, doing those types of things. Keep your social distance. Make sure your masks are still, anytime you're moving in the building, you got a mask on, right? And we want to make sure all that's taken care of. Because if it's not, and there's an adult and they see you, they will address it, okay?
And the mask has to be over the nose and over the mouth.
That is correct. So once they get to those areas, we dismiss the homeroom. They have, a couple minutes to get there. We'll help them out getting to where they need to go. All right. When they get to homeroom, so let's just talk about homeroom right now, Mr. Parsley. Let's talk about homeroom. The only students that need to be really worried about or attending homeroom are the students that are in the building. Okay. So if I'm a virtual student, but it's not my colored day, I don't need to attend homeroom. If I'm a virtual student, I don't need to attend homeroom. If I'm at home, I just simply report to period 1. If I'm in the building, I'm obviously going to homeroom. Now, The first 2 days of school, when kids are in the building, we always have an adjusted schedule because there are certain things that we have to walk through with our students to explain to them, because this is a new building to them. So we have to explain some things to them, okay? And that is going to take place on Thursday and Friday, the 12th and 13th. So if you could put up the schedule for everybody on the 12th and 13th, and once again, parents and students, you're going to have access to this at home. Basically, what's going to happen is this. From 8:05 to 9:20, we have an extended homeroom. We have things that we have to do during homeroom, okay? So we're going to take care of that, okay? So if you're not in the building on Thursday, you don't start first period until what time, Mr. Parcia?
9:25.
That is correct, okay? And on the next day, on Friday, when the gold is in the building, what time does blue start?
9:25.
That's right. So virtual, it's 9:25 as well. So on those first 2 days, we have an extended homeroom. Okay, and we'll talk to you about what we're going to be doing in that homeroom. Okay, but make sure on those 2 days, that is the schedule that we are going to be following. Okay, we good?
You can take that down?
Take it down.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, obviously, and one of the things you're going to see right now is, in all of our classes, we have seating charts, but I'm just going to tell you, in homeroom, we're going to have a seating chart like we always do. In all their classes, we're going to have seating charts. Unfortunately, we have to have seating charts in cafeterias when they're in the cafeteria period. And the reason that we need to do that, and kids have to, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but in the event that somebody does test positive, we have to be able to quickly identify close contacts and submit that to the Pennsylvania Department of Health. So seating charts are going to be extremely important, and our teachers maintaining accurate seating charts is really going to be important. And that's where kids have to cooperate with us, okay? Once again, well, I don't want to sit here. Okay, well, that's where you're going to sit. So, I mean, that's kind of how, we need that cooperation, okay? Our teachers are going to try to spread, depending on how many kids are in the room, they're going to try to spread them out as much as they can, right? So kids need to help us out and cooperate on that.
But keep in mind, the desks, and we've said this before, have already been 6 foot apart. And we're going to teach the kids where to sit. There's tape marks everywhere. So each seat is already predetermined to be 6 foot apart. It's been measured, I know, by you and Mr. Doherty. So, we are monitoring that.
All right. So while students are in homeroom, okay, what we want to be able to do is this. We want to talk to you a little bit about the attendance procedure, okay, because the attendance procedure is going to change a little bit if you are in the building. It will not change for you if you are at home. It'll be just like the first marking period, okay? So let's say, for example, I've been assigned blue and I'm in on Thursday, okay? So I'm supposed to be in the building. So our teachers are going to look at, who's supposed to be here, what kids signed up as hybrid, and then what they're going to do is they're going to take attendance. And they're going to put it in Skyward. And what that's going to do is that's going to designate some phone calls, right? You get that, you're not in the building phone call. And that's going to start on November 16th. Those phone calls will start on the 16th because that's when the senior high is starting their hybrid, okay? Those calls are going to go out, okay? And the student, if they're supposed to be here and they're not here, they're going to be marked absent for that day. That's going to happen. Now, some people say, well, why are you doing that? Well, part of the reason, this is not punitive in any way, shape, or form. And I want our parents to understand it's not punitive. But as a parent, if my kid walks out the door and says they're going, to walk to the school bus, okay, I want to make sure they're getting onto the school bus, or they're walking to school. I want to make sure they get there. We do, and hey, this is just the reality of the business. We do have kids that will say, hey, see you later, mom and dad. I'm going to walk to school. And then guess where they end up? At their friend's house. Okay. And so we want to make sure that parents are aware of where their children are. So that phone call will go out. Okay. Now, I did have some parents ask me this question. They said, well, hey, Dr. SIGG'S, what happens if, my kid is assigned to be in the building, and they weren't, and they were genuinely sick? How's that going to go? Once again, I'm explaining it to you, but here's what happens. If your child's supposed to be in a building and they're not here, okay, they're going to be marked absent, a phone call is going to go home, okay? Now, if while they are at home, They go on Canvas and they access all their classes like they're supposed to, because they are, they are home, they aren't feeling well, or whatever that might be, or you don't want to go to school because you're watching the news and so forth. Okay, and you're feeling that way. Fine. Okay, as long as they do what they're supposed to do on Canvas, then what will happen then is the next day our secretary, attendance secretary, will get the Canvas report. We'll look at the Skyward, and then she's going to correct what was kids that were marked absent because they were not here. Does that make sense to you?
So ultimately, if they don't come to school and you get that phone call, they're initially absent, but we're going to allow them the opportunity to complete the work on Canvas as they've been doing. And then the next day, administration is going to then cross-list pretty much, do a check on Canvas to see what was completed, and then see who is absent on Skyward. And if the kid who is absent on Skyward did all their work on Canvas the appropriate way, they will not be marked absent. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Perfect. Okay. That allows some flexibility there. Yep.
That's correct. It's some, and it's good. Hey, and I would love to tell you that that's a lot of work for, our attendance secretary to do. So, and hopefully, we've talked about what's the best procedure to make sure that we don't have a lot of mistakes. I'm hopeful that does not happen. But that's going to be a lot of work of cross-referencing things. So to me, it's real simple, because we have a lot of parents asking questions right now, because people, as we get close to the start, are getting nervous, right? Yeah. Should I just keep them home or not? I mean, that's your call. Okay. I'm just telling you what we're going to do. If they're supposed to be here, we're taking attendance. They're going to be, if they're not here, they're going to get marked absent. You're going to get a call. And then if they do what they're supposed to do at home and they're on Canvas like they've been doing, then that will get fixed the next day. Okay. Good. If they don't do anything at home at all on Canvas, then it's going to remain in absence.
Okay? As it should be.
As it should be. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Great.
Another thing that will happen in homeroom on those first couple of days, the students are going to be assigned their lockers. Okay. Once again, parents expressed some concerns about that. What I will tell you is this: the kids that have been in the building, they've talked about the fact that it's hard to carry all of their materials for 7 periods, right? So what we want to make sure is we're going to give them a locker. Parents, this is your call. Okay. If you don't want them to use the locker, then tell them they don't have to use the locker. We're just providing it for you so that they have the ability to put their jacket in it, or if they want to put some books in it and not have to carry them all around, we're giving them that option. If you say, hey, I don't want my kid using it, that's a conversation you can have with your child. You don't have to use it. Okay.
So we're going to assign each student who's here a locker. And again, it's their choice if they want to use it or not. Yep. Good.
That is correct. We're also going to allow students to use book bags, right? I mean, to carry around books, because
first time ever.
Yeah, first time ever. And one of the things I feel better about that is we have less students in classrooms. So we'll have more places to spread them out, and they can put book bags on the floor. I don't have to worry about people, tripping and so forth. Okay. The other thing that we're going to do during our homeroom period is students are going to be, their lunches are going to be discussed. Okay. Because now what ends up happening, okay, we all, I tried to make things easy for everybody during the first marking period because we were all at home. Okay. So we all of us followed that third lunch schedule. Okay. Now, like I said before, we can't fit everybody in the same lunch period. We just, we can't do it in a normal year. We got to spread it out. Okay. So what we got to do right now is their kids' schedules are going to be driven by their lunch period. So we're going to talk about lunches. We're actually going to give them a hard copy schedule where we have the line drawn after the class period that, they're right before lunch, so they can see it. We're going to put their time that they have down there, even though parents can access their child's lunch through Skyward. Okay. But we also have to let students know where they're going to eat, because we're going to have 2 different, if you will, cafeteria stations, if you will. We're going to have our actual cafeteria, and then we're going to have some students that are going to be eating in our main gymnasium. So, during homeroom, one of the tasks for our homeroom teachers is going to be to take the list that Dr. Reinheimer has put together, and then she's going to tell them exactly where those kids are going to be going. Once the kids get to their designated area, that first day when they walk into the cafeteria, walk into the gym, what we're going to do is we're going to allow them to look at the group of kids that are eating with them during that lunchtime, right? And then they can pick who they want to sit by. Okay. And what I would ask you as parents is this: you know your kids, and you know who they should be sitting by and who they should not be sitting by.
Yeah.
Right. So what parents need to do is say, look, if you sit next to this person, you've gotten in trouble before. I would suggest you not sit next to them if they're in your, because I'm just going to tell you, one of the things that's going to happen, is the silliness is really, I understand they're 14 years old, but right now, I mean, we're not going to have that type of stuff. So throwing things or grabbing people or standing up and walking around, you're not going to be able to do that, okay? So they need to choose who they're sitting next to wisely. And then once they pick who they're going to be sitting by, then we're going to put together a seating chart, and that's where they're going to be. So in the event that somebody around them tested positive and they need to know who was around them throughout the course of the day, we'll be able to access their cafeteria seating chart to provide additional information.
And the cafeteria and the gym have desks in them, correct?
That is correct. They have.
So they'll be sitting at individual desks, which are socially distanced 6 feet apart. So it's not like a table like we usually have.
That's correct. And we have two people facing each other, right, at 6 feet apart, so we can't have people turning around in their seat and yelling across, and all that sort of stuff. So they're gonna get a chance to choose somebody that's right across from them. They can have a conversation. They can talk about things. That's no problem. And we feel bad about this. We really do. But we gotta maintain some control. We gotta have some seating charts so we can tell who's where. I mean, all in all, it's not a lot of fun, but we got to do this, right? And that's where we need everybody to work together on that.
Everybody's got to do their part to get the job done. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Dr. SIGG'S, you want to talk about attending classes and reviewing the daily schedule?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Just once again, remember, if you still, because we get, every day we're getting emails from parents as we get close. I don't know how to access my child's, lunchtime. Okay, well, you and I, Mr. Parcia, sent something out last week that clearly defines how to do that. Okay, so, I'll put it on, it'll be on the sheet that comes out with this today, but you got to go to Family Access. You got to go to click on where it says Report Cards. On top of the screen, you'll see a lunchtime dialog box. And the lunchtime dialog box, click View Report, and then you'll see what it is. Okay, and the directions for that process were in last week's letter and video that went out to everybody. So we had that for you. All right. So once they're done with homeroom on that day, they're going to begin going to their classes. Once again, first and second period on the first 2 days are going to be abbreviated. Each is going to be around 20, 25 minutes, I believe. Okay. So here's the important part. Everybody has to be following the time schedule right now moving forward that is based upon their lunch. So the kids that are in the building, obviously are going to follow that, but the kids that are at home, they must follow it as well. Why is that? Well, in most cases, majority of the cases, our teachers are going to be live streaming. Okay, they're going to be live streaming. So they're going to be teaching the kids in front of them. They're going to have a device, and they're going to be able to, the kids at home are going to be seeing exactly what they're teaching. And what our parents need to understand is it's not like we're going to teach 2 topics per week. On Monday, Tuesday, we teach one topic, and Thursday and Friday, we teach a second topic, and they do it twice each of those, 2 days. What's going to happen is this. I always come up with a simple example. Let's say Monday, I got the blue group in front of me, the gold and virtual at home, and I'm going to teach adding fractions. Everybody is going to get adding fractions. And then the next day, Tuesday, guess what? The gold team is going to be in the building, the blue and the virtual at home. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to review adding fractions, but I'm going to move on and introduce subtracting fractions. Okay? And then when Thursday rolls around, blue's in the building, gold and virtual are home. And I'm going to say, let's review subtracting fractions and now introduce multiplication of fractions. And then the next day, gold's in the building, blue and virtual at home. I'm going to review multiplication, and I'm going to then introduce division. So every day, they're going to be moving forward. Okay, they're not doing the same thing twice, and slowing it down. So that's why kids need to be where they're supposed to be. That's why they need to know their lunch schedule and then follow their schedule as it says, that is provided to you right now and also on our school website.
So real quick, in terms of the teaching, obviously the kids have to be aware of their lunch. It's very similar to now where everybody's virtual. We just keep moving through the material each day. It's the same thing when they come to school. You're at home, we're going to just keep moving accordingly because we must cover our curriculum, to get through the year, to get the kids ready for high school. Absolutely.
Once again, the students that are at home on a particular day, they do not need to access homeroom. There's no reason for them to do. They simply need to make sure they're reporting first period. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Mr. Parsi, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. This is a hot topic for us right now. It's this concept of exit tickets, okay? And so what we did was, we are satisfying a two-part requirement from the state. Okay, the first part says we got to provide students with access to their virtual instruction. We're able to do that through Canvas. We can print reports and show that kids are accessing it.
Yep.
The other thing that we have to do is we have to generate evidence, proof, if you will, that students were engaged with their virtual instruction for that particular day.
Concrete evidence, must be documented.
That's correct.
Yep.
And there is a menu of choices that you could do. Okay, there is a menu of choices. And like I've said many times, I am a simple person. I always want to come up with the easiest solution. Okay, so for me, what I wanted to do was let's do an exit ticket, one question, right? Boom, get done with it. Okay. We also know from prior experience that if you make it worth nothing, then students will not do it.
I'll do it.
And then guess what? Technically, because they didn't do it, they weren't present. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So we made it worth a point. Now, I understand making it worth a point, got some parents all upset. Okay. And to me, you had 11:59 at night. You had teachers that were willing to say, show me what you got, I'll help you out. To me, it was one of those things. So what I'm saying to you is, I understand people's complaint about exit tickets. Okay. Here's what I will tell you. As a parent myself of two kids in high school, okay, the high school that my kids go to, there is no consistent second component of this requirement. So some teachers of my daughter and my son do a discussion board, do an exit ticket, they have to log into Zoom meeting and they got to have their camera on to be considered present. They got to do a homework assignment every night. So I'm telling you from a parent's point of view, when you have that wide open menu of how teachers can choose how they're going to do that second part of the attendance requirement, it's frustrating. And my wife is frustrated right now because, it's not easy. And my kids are getting marked absent, right? Or because they're missing a class, if you will. And it's not an easy thing to do. So for me, I know people get upset about everything. To me, it is a consistent.
Yeah.
So there is no question as to what's going on. Okay. All right. So we're going to do exit tickets moving forward. However, you ready for this, Mr. Parcia? We did a lot of talking over this the last couple of weeks. And so what we're going to do is this. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
We're going to do the daily exit tickets like we've been doing, but instead of making them worth 1 point apiece, which is 45 points for a marking period. You ready for this? Each exit ticket is going to be worth 0.2 of 1 point. That way, when they do 5 exit tickets for a week's worth of work, it's going to count as how much, Mr. Parcia?
1 point for the week.
1 point for the week. Okay? So we're not trying to slam kids and parents, with points. It is a requirement that we have to do.
And can I say something else as a teacher? These exit tickets, it's a good review for kids. It holds them accountable. I think it's a wonderful thing to do. And I like the fact that it's consistent. It holds the kids accountable and it's review. So I'm glad to hear the exit tickets are going to continue. I'll just leave it at that. And we are satisfying a requirement from the state, which is as consistent and as clear as possible. And it acts as a review to reinforce learning. Right, Dr. Siggins?
That is correct. So to
Yep.
me, we're hitting all the buttons that we're supposed to hit, and we're trying to do it in the most efficient and
Fair.
Yeah,
More than
way.
fair. More than fair. Way.
Yes, it's more than
Yep.
fair.
Absolutely.
Okay. Once again, we're going to have assigned seating charts in our classrooms right now. Okay, we're going to spread kids out. So like in some days, we may have 6 kids out of 20 seats, so the teachers will spread them out, but there will be assigned seats. Please make sure you're trying to occupy those, right?
Yeah.
Classrooms are not going to be sharing items with students, so you can't go and say, "Can I borrow a calculator?" They're not sharing those items back and forth. I did have a question about whether or not students are going to be changing for gym classes. There will not be any changing for gym classes. They're going to wear sneakers, and we're going to find an activity for them to do such that they don't have to go into a locker room and change into their gym uniforms. Just as long as they have sneakers, our teachers will come up with an activity for them. Okay? Any other questions?
Dr. Siggins, real quick. So with the gym class, when they on their assigned school day where they come in, we really want them to wear sneakers?
Well, they can bring a pair of sneakers with them if they want,
Okay.
but I mean,
Okay.
in order to do gym, to be on the floors, because we have the use of the auxiliary gym, we're going to try to get them outside, but you understand what's going on right now. We're into November and December. I mean, I don't know how many days they'll be able to get them outside. We're going to try to be flexible with that.
Okay, great.
All right.
Cooperation, Dr. Siggins, you want to talk about?
Exiting the building, right?
Oh, yep, exiting the building. Here we go. Got it.
All right. So when we exit the building, it's going to be in 2 waves, just like in 7th grade. So you're going to have first wave of buses, and then around 3 o'clock, there'll be a second wave of buses. Yeah, once again, we have that plan for parent pickup out front. So our kids that are getting picked up, we're going to come walking out through the front main door. We also have kids that are walkers. They'll be coming out through the front main door, and they'll be heading in their direction. So it's really important at the end of the day that we are careful with our driving out in front of the building. That is.
You want me to share that map again real quick, just to remind them?
We're going to include the map and all the attachments that we give them today, so they'll be able to see them. All right.
Good.
And finally, Mr. Parcia, I just, this is like our plea, if you will, from the school, just to, for cooperation. By and large, I feel pretty good about, many of the situations that we've had to deal with. Some of them have been fun, but I think most parents understand this is not easy for us. It's not easy for them. So we try to find some common ground and work it out. Okay. What I need to make sure though is that we have some cooperation. And if a child's sick, please don't send them to school. If I'm sick, I'm not coming to school. Okay. I mean, that's what I've told our staff members, right? We gotta, I understand we want to get things going, but please don't do that. Everybody needs to make sure that they bring their required materials every day. That's cooperation. Just bring what you're supposed to bring. They need to bring masks every day. And guess what? There are times, I get it, you forget a mask. So when you get on the bus and you don't have a mask, all you got to do is ask the driver. You don't have to get into a verbal confrontation with a driver about a mask. Okay. So just ask. We're going to help you out. Okay. But that's just doing the right thing at that point. Once again, students, when they come into the building, they're, once we go through all the protocol and procedure, I don't feel the need that we need to be repeating ourselves every day about making sure you got masks on, making sure you're not touching people, making sure you're not, getting silly in the hallways, right? Everybody knows that right now. Everybody knows that we want to, this is a great thing that we're coming back to school. It really is. And so what we want to do is we don't want anything to happen to that. We want to continue to build and do things the right way. So we need people and kids to do what they're supposed to do. And they know that. They know what to do. I mean, that's the interesting part. They know what to do. And if you could just talk to your kids about, behavior in unstructured, unsupervised situations, passing through classes, walking in the hallways to go to the bathroom or whatever it might be, that's usually where we find issues occurring, in this building. Would you not agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we will have teachers in the hallways as much as we can, to try to maintain a safe environment. And again, it's all about cooperation. As you can see, we have an exhaustive plan, to try to, undergo, a serious challenge, but again, to try to provide a safe, coherent education. So, while we're excited to have everybody back, we do ask for everybody's cooperation and patience, because, we're all trying to get through all of this together.
I just want to say one more thing here. I understand that this is a little bit of a longer video, right? I'm not interested in making long videos because I know we have parents that aren't interested in watching our long videos, right? However, well, there are some that like doing it, but what I'm saying to you is I don't like making them long because I just don't, because people don't always watch all of it. But what I'm saying to you is we're giving you all the information that people need in order to start the school year out and feel positive about what we're doing, or to understand exactly what we're doing here. So hopefully it's there for you, and hopefully people will take advantage of that.
All right. And again, we do apologize. It was a longer video, but again, it's always been our intent for as long as we've been here, for having 20 years or so, we always want to provide the best, safest, mode of instruction for students. And right now we're faced with a challenge and we're attacking it head on. So we ask that everybody is cooperative, everybody is patient, everybody works together, and we'll get through this. So thank you for your patience and time for watching this video. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Dr. SIGG'S?
I do not right now. Looking forward to seeing
the
kids that are coming back on Thursday.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so with that being said, that'll do it for SIGG'S on the 8th Grade Center on Demand Network, where it still always is all academic all the time. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Bye-bye.